Hi, I'm Cantor Larry. Welcome to my kitchen. Today we're going to make one of my favorite recipes from Cooks Illustrated called an Italian chocolate almond cake. So let's get started. For this recipe, you'll need 12 tablespoons of unsalted butter cut into 12 pieces, 6 ounces of bittersweet chocolate chopped, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 4 large eggs separated, 1 cup of granulated sugar, 2 cups of almond flour, 2 tablespoons of Dutch processed cocoa powder, and a half teaspoon of salt. So a lot of people don't know about almond flour. So almond flour, you can buy it like this, and it looks like this, but you can make almond flour at home because it's kind of expensive to get this. If you buy regular slivered almonds, and you're able to use your mixer, or I have a magic bullet, you can grind your own. It's very simple. So I happen to have just about enough for this recipe. I just need a little bit more. And so I want to show you how to go ahead and grind almond flour. So once you put your almonds into your container, you just have to simply put it on any kind of grinding system. You can use your blender, whatever system you have, and then just a couple of clicks. That was about 30 seconds, less probably. And you can see you have exactly the same consistency of what you could have bought it for. Perfect. So now we're ready with our almond flour to get ready with the rest of the recipe. Next, we need to get our chocolate ready. So take your chocolate, now all chunked up into nice little pieces. I like Ghirardelli chocolate. I actually buy it in a 10-pound bar. I know, it's a lot. And we're going to take our butter, chop it up, put it in, and just melt it in the microwave on 50% for about 1.5 to 2 minutes. You just want to get it nice and smooth so that you can add it later. So now our chocolate and our butter have been melted together, so we just have a nice buttery, chocolatey slurry that we're going to put into our cake a little bit later on. So next, we're going to just put that to the side so that can cool. Next, we're going to whip our eggs. So we have our egg whites that we're going to go into the bowl. So we want to use the whisk attachment, and we're going to whisk it on low speed it's just to get it foamy, so it's all incorporated together for about a minute. So it's been about a minute, and I'll show you how you just want to get your egg whites a little bit foamy. Great. So then we're going to increase the speed to about a medium high, and we're going to slowly add in about half of our sugar, about half a cup of the sugar. This is going to take us maybe about 4 minutes. We're going to try to get glossy peaks. So it's been about 4 minutes now, and our egg whites have now turned into those beautiful glossy peaks. So they just kind of hold their own. And this is really important because the eggs are the main leavening agent in the cake. So to give it any kind of rise, will really depend on the eggs. So we're whipping the eggs to get a lot of air into them. Great. We're going to put these eggs into the egg whites into a bowl. So be careful as you're putting the egg whites into your bowl, and always go for a bigger bowl, especially when you're doing any kind of whipping the egg whites. If you're doing chocolate mousse or any kind of flourless tort, the bigger your bowl, the less you're pushing those eggs or those egg whites into a smaller surface, which will deflate your eggs. So you want to keep those whites nice and light. So there's no reason to even wipe out the bowl, because now we're just going to start on the chocolate part of the dessert. So now we're going to add the 4 egg yolks to the bowl. And again, you don't have to clean the bowl because it's all going to go in the same place. And we're going to add the other half cup of sugar. And now we're going to mix this for about another 4 minutes again to get it to like a pale yellow look. So we'll be back in 4 minutes. So it's been about 4 minutes, 3 minutes, maybe 3-4 minutes. And you'll see that our egg yolks and sugar have now turned to this beautiful pale yellow, which is beautiful. That's exactly what we want. So to this bowl, we're going to add the rest of the ingredients. And one of the things I did forget to do earlier, so let's get that bowl on, okay, was to add the vanilla to the chocolate. And you don't want to do the vanilla when you're heating the chocolate because the vanilla is an alcohol that will dissipate and you'll lose the flavor. So you want to definitely do it after you've warmed the chocolate. So it's 1 teaspoon of vanilla. So we're just going to add that to our chocolate mixture, and that's going to make sure that vanilla flavor still comes out. And then we're going to add the vanilla to our mixture. I like taking the blade off because instead of working around it, why struggle? So I'm going to put that right there. We're going to add in our chocolate mixture that's now cooled. Our 7 ounces of almond flour. I love licking my fingers. The 2 tablespoons of Dutch processed cocoa. Dutch process is very important because it will add a whole different flavor to what you're making. And of course, salt. Salt's always important for good flavor. Great. Let's throw our whisk back on. And we're just going to incorporate everything just on low speed. Really, you're just mixing it all in, getting it all put together. So now what you have in here is this delicious, nutty, chocolatey, sweet mixture that's just, you can probably eat the whole thing right here. But we need to now get it ready for our pan. So, just put that in here. So, what you want to do is you want to lighten this first because you can see it's very chunky. So, it's very thick and kind of like corrosive at this point in time, right? So we want to lighten it, and what we do is we take about 1/3 of our whipped egg whites, put that in the bowl, and we're just going to just incorporate that, just kind of just stir it in. So here you don't really need to worry about folding because this is really just to lighten the load and lighten the mixture so that it just becomes a little less dense and is able to incorporate the rest of the egg whites. So we just want to incorporate it all in, get all the white mixed in so it's all nice and just a little bit lighter. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add this to the eggs themselves. So just put this directly in. This is why you want to use that bigger bowl, because you want a lot of surface space to be able to incorporate all this deliciousness. So I just like using a bigger spatula during this time. It just helps also to incorporate. And so when you are incorporating, what you want to do is you want to bring some of the eggs in and kind of turn over the mixture onto the eggs. And what you just want to kind of just pick it up from the bottom, turn it over, and just keep doing these kind of flips. It helps to just kind of lightly incorporate the eggs. You don't want to stir. That's the most important part here. You're trying to keep those egg whites nice and full of air and just get them all wrapped around the other chocolate. So again, a lot of people will cut down the middle and just turn it over, So it's just up to you how you want to do this, but you just want to do it gently. It's not about stirring, it's just about pulling it in, turn it over. Turn it in, pull it over. Until everything seems like to be nice and consistent. Just want to get rid of most of that egg white look. This is the way you do mousse also, by the way, to keep that mousse nice and airy. Very different from your puddings, your chocolate puddings. So once you get a lot of that incorporated in, now that it has a lot of good air to give your cake some structure, if you mix the eggs together completely, the egg yolks and the egg whites together, you'll get a very dense, flat cake. By separating them and doing them in two different batches, you give each a chance to develop structure. So now we're going to take a 9-inch springform pan and we'll just lightly spray it with a little bit of vegetable oil, just so our cake will come out nicely. And then we're just going to gently put our mixture into that pan. Again, using as light a touch as you can. Let Mother Nature do her stuff, let gravity do her stuff. So, when I was little, my mother would accuse me of not getting everything out of the bowl because she knew I wanted to lick the spatula. I told her she was wrong. I think she was right. So we're going to smooth out the top, just to make sure it's nice and even. So beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. We're going to put it on a rimmed cookie sheet. We're going to bake it at 325 degrees for about 50 minutes, that's 50. And about 25 minutes in, we're going to rotate the pan because not all ovens bake evenly. And so this way the cake will get a nice even bake. See you in a few moments. So I'm not sure if I finished my thoughts on a couple of these ingredients. So the blanched almonds, it costs about $3.99, maybe $4.99 for a 10-ounce bag, usually at the store. But the bag of King Arthur could cost anywhere between $10.98 to $13.98 a bag. So ounce-wise, comparing the two, you're probably paying double if you get it pre-ground. So getting the slivered almonds is a great way to save some money and be able to make this cake twice for the same cost. And I talked about if you did the whole egg and you whipped it all together, how that it would just become a really dense cake. But we didn't talk about just the egg whites, so if you just egg whites themselves. Well, egg whites will give you that beautiful look in the oven where it all puffs up and it looks absolutely stunning. But then you take it out and as it cools, the center drops down, but the ridge stays up. That would just be egg whites. And so here, by mixing both the egg whites and the egg yolks, by whipping a lot of air and structure into them, you're able to get that nice, even all the way across. And there's the timer. So this is our first turn. So this is just 25 minutes in. We're just going to take that pan, give it a nice turn, and put it back in for another 25 minutes. Oh, and the Dutch processed cocoa, well, that's kind of up to you. You could use natural cocoa also. Dutch process will give you a little bit of a darker color and a little bit of a smoother flavor, but both work in this recipe. And there's the beep. Let's see how our cake's doing. Wow, it looks great. it's done. We're just going to test it out with a toothpick and make sure. Yeah, it looks perfect. Perfect. Okay, so we're going to let it rest for 20 minutes, and then we're going to loosen the pan and let it then completely cool for 2 hours. So it's been 20 minutes. Let's go ahead and take the collar off the pan. Beautiful. And you can see how it's really stayed all the way even. There's a little dip here, so we had a little bit of loss of height, but it's nice and even all the way through. We're going to let it cool completely for 2 hours, and then we're going to cut into it and have a delicious snack tonight. Great. So now it's been 2 hours later. We're going to sit down and we're going to cut this open. You can powder sugar it on top or add some whipped cream or anything you'd like. It's perfect. What's really wonderful about this recipe is not only is it good for Passover, but also for all of our gluten-free friends. So it's a great recipe to have. It's absolutely delicious. Hope you'll try it. Look at Cooks Illustrated. It's a great magazine and it has great recipes. And this is one of my favorites. B'te'avon.